Naira abduction actually inflamed our people to the point where people just wanted to give, to do something to change things. And so Ikome came at the time when all these things were in place. And I think with some really good leadership and good people surrounding him and good decision making, I think he could have done a lot for the struggle with that kind of money and that kind of support. I did.
So building on that structure, are you by this insinuating that Dr. Sako Ikome is or using the structures that you put in place presently successfully to serve the Ambazonian people?
Well, to be honest, I don't know much of what Ikome is doing. You can't really see he's building on what I initially put in place. I was against the idea of a government from the very beginning. The reasons are there today, everybody knows. I gave those reasons. I mean, back to the stipend thing. If Sako has been living off just the stipend that was allocated for him, then I don't see anything wrong. If you put him on $2,000 or $3,000 per month, I think that's fair for somebody who want to lead your struggle. Now, if it is that he is having access to more money and is basically embezzling everything like a year, then that's something else. But I cannot say for certain because all of this is hearsay. And I don't base my judgment on hearsay without evidence. So I cannot say. But benefiting from the work we did, yes, of course. People, when they spoke about my trip to Boya and the money, over $1 million, close to $2 million that was mobilized and that got lost, yes, of course, that was largely the work that we did. I've said this before. Prior to my trip to Boya, we had already worked on a similar project, and I think it was called the Global Ambazonia something that we had put in place. The whole idea was exactly that. Secondly, the Naira abduction actually inflamed our people to the point where people just wanted to give, to do something to change things. And so Ikome came at the time when all these things were in place. And I think with some really good leadership and good people surrounding him and good decision making, I think he could have done a lot for the struggle with that kind of money and that kind of support. Where things went wrong, I cannot say because, to be honest with you, I wasn't paying attention much. He invested a lot of resources to destroy my person, to destroy my character, putting paying activists on social media on a daily basis, non-stop for 2 years to destroy my character. So I kind of withdrew from the things he was doing. If these guys were wise, just a bit, they could have benefited so much from the work that we did. Not once did any of, from Ikome to all the people who surrounded him, not once did any of them ever call me and say, hey, comrade, we learned that you took a trip to the White House. What was this trip about? Who did you meet? Can you link us up so we can continue the work that you did? We had that in December of 2017. You were in Virginia, I think, with SCCOP, and you met some really high-level individuals of the American government. What was this meeting about? Can you link us up so we can take it forward? No. What they did was he just wanted to cut everything down and demonstrate and prove that I am the man. And that's where he lost it. But then it goes back to the thing I've always said. Did he carry out a coup d'etat to have that position? No. Did he assassinate somebody to take it? No. It's our own stupidity and greed that put the wrong person in that position.
So amongst many of the accusations out there towards your person is that you are the owner of SCBCTV, that is the Southern Cameroon Broadcasting Corporation. Are you the owner or maybe a shareholder in that enterprise?
Well, interestingly, when you said amongst the accusations, I had actually thought you were going to say, is it true that you're the one who put Sako Ikome there? Because that's what Mbianda and Harriet Mbianda, they keep saying, that I am the one who put Sako Ikome. But again, I've been accused of everything. This is being done by individuals who would come up with all kinds of malicious character assassination. And of course, amongst that is the fact that I am the owner of the SCBC. This was being pushed by individuals who, on the one hand, they had two intentions. On the one hand was they wanted to actually hijack and take over the ownership of the SCBC. But who had a plan B? If we fail in taking it over, then we have to set up ours. And Christopher Anu was actually probably the champion behind that. Of course, we know Lucas Ayaba also did the same, was saying the same things. But you see, the thing about the SCBC is When Sisiko Ayuktabe came here in July, August of 2017, we had a meeting. And even as the Secretary General, I had said, whatever contract has been signed for SCBC, nobody must see that contract. No, not even myself. Sisiko should be the only person who has got access to that contract. And apart from him, keep the contract hidden in the deepest chest you can find and never show it to anybody. The reason I had said that is because we know the effort that La République made to make sure that the SCBC was destroyed. You may be aware that the Cameroon government actually approached the South African government with a very lucrative offer in terms of mining offer on the condition that one, I, together with a few comrades in South Africa, were abducted and sent back, and that two, the SCBC was closed down. Those were the two conditions they gave for that lucrative contract, which I think the South African government did not take. Now, that is how important the SCBC was, and that's the reason for me it was so important that whatever we do, you don't take this asset that we have and you start flashing it and giving it to anybody, no matter who. And I had said only the chairperson of the governing council should have access to that document. I never saw it. Now, later comes this bunch of comedians, greedy comedians, and they start, oh, you know what? We need to see that document. If we don't see the document, then it means you're hiding something. And they go on and on and on. And I told the comrades, we had agreed, tell them this, only Sisiko, if you truly are there as acting on behalf of Sisiko Ayuktabe, then you cannot ask for that document. And I'm telling you, don't give them. The analogy I've made, if I live in my house and you don't have a place to stay, I invite you to my house to say, come, my brother, come, let's stay together in this house so that you don't stay out there and the rain beats you and the winter and everything. And you walk into my house, the first thing you start to say is, oh, by the way, where did you get the money to buy such a house? You need to tell me where you got the money, because if you don't tell me, then I'm assuming that you stole the money. You're a thief. You need to tell me. Do you think I'm going to accommodate you in my house? I'll kick you out. The mistake our comrades made was, oh no, I need to explain to you how I got the house. You didn't have a house before if I invited you. So somebody walks into SCBC who doesn't know how it came about, the sacrifices we made. I remember traveling from country to country, going to London, meeting people who said they had lots of money. And I'm saying, listen, I traveled to West Africa, countries, just to mobilize, talk to people, get support for the SCBC when nobody was willing to put any money. And I'm talking to a comrade like, listen, put in money. He's like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm working with other guys. This was at a time when there was no internet and we needed something. So it's a lot of sacrifice you make to put in place structures like this. You have Lucas Ayaba, who champions this thing and says, oh, Millan is excluding me from SCBC. It's his thing. He owns it and so on. Then a couple of years later, they open the door to him. He comes in, gets the gist of how the SCBC runs, opens up his own. Christopher Anu comes, does the same thing. They open up. So at the end of the day, you see that these guys did not come in good faith. And I saw that long before anybody did. When I said, don't give, I knew what I was talking about. Today, the result is out there to see. So was it a question of me owning the SCBC? Of course, no. Everybody knew that. Do you think they didn't know? Of course, they did. But for them, it wasn't about the truth. It was about character assassination. It was about sabotage and takeover. We were just a bit naive that we couldn't see very simple things. That's why I said, don't give. Whatever these guys say. In business, it's like somebody comes to Coca-Cola and say, oh, Coca-Cola, you're putting whatever you're putting ingredients in this thing. It's false. It's not Coca-Cola. Okay, to prove to us that this is truly Coca-Cola, we need you to give us your ingredients, the formula.
The formula.
And then you go and you take your formula and you put it on the table to say, I want to prove to you that this is Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola will never do that. So at the end of the day, that's why I don't pay attention to this kind of rumors. And I don't even bother to answer such questions, because a right-thinking person would know. People like Lucas and Christopher Anu and Sako Ikome, it was all malicious. It's people who think they are very clever. And sometimes we are so naive that we actually think they are clever. be honest, to this day, I don't know what that meeting was all about. You've heard, of all the things that you can blame Tasang for, you know that sometimes he wakes up in the morning in jail and he's very angry because I don't think he knows why he was invited to this meeting. And I've spoken to a whole host of other comrades who are in jail today. I have not spoken to one single individual who knows what this meeting was about and why it was convened. That's the problem.
So, Mr. Millan, taking you a little bit back towards the Naira 10 saga, we remember that the eve of the abduction in Nigeria, you were actually invited. And up till today, Ambazonians have not actually had the opportunity to know what was the purpose of such a meeting that brought almost all the leadership in one place. In your own understanding and being somebody who was invited, what was the purpose of that meeting?
I don't know. I don't know, because I didn't even know that there was a meeting. I think I did a 3-hour audio visual on this with evidence and receipts and everything. The reason for me doing that was to make sure that these things get answered. Yes, there are always people who try to distort the narrative. And the one thing I've come to realize is that some people are not interested in the truth, because the truth is going to take away the agenda that they are trying to push. To be honest, to this day, I don't know what that meeting was all about. You've heard, of all the things that you can blame Tasang for, you know that sometimes he wakes up in the morning in jail and he's very angry because I don't think he knows why he was invited to this meeting. And I've spoken to a whole host of other comrades who are in jail today. I have not spoken to one single individual who knows what this meeting was about and why it was convened. Now, when I left from here to go to Nigeria, my understanding was that it was not that I was going to a meeting. Like I've said before, Nalova had called me to say, we are having a serious problem that only you can resolve, and we need you to come. And at that point, remember I said I'd just come back from the US, and I told SCCOP that I'm done. I'm actually going back to work. So when she asked me to come, immediately I turned it down, like, coming to do what? But when eventually SCCOP himself called me and pleaded and said, I know you said you're out, you don't want to have anything to do with the leadership, you're out, but I'm begging you to come just this once. I'm like, are you sure? Just this once, one last time. I reluctantly accepted. Now, the question has been asked several times, why did you accept? You see, it was a very, very sensitive time when I could have said, no, I'm not coming, and then start giving the impression that there is bad blood. And I let things crumble simply because I'm not happy. And at the back of my mind, it was like, well, if it's just one last assignment, why not go there? Go there, help him to fix whatever he wants to be fixed, and then you're out. What I was given to understand, and this is Nalova, not even SCCOP, is that our boys have been arrested. We don't know how to fix this issue. Maybe you should come and find a way to help. At the back of my mind, I knew that I was going to help with the release of the Taraba 39. But even that was not very clear. So how did I know there was a meeting? Because on the evening, flights usually leave from here to Kigali late at night, early in the morning, actually early hours of the morning, but you have to be there late night. At about 6 p.m., just as I'm about to leave, or I'm packing my things, I called Nalova one last time and I'm like, I need you to tell me exactly why you people want me there. Because as I'm putting my things together, I need to know if I'm coming for formal meetings or if it's something that is field-bound that doesn't require, so I know exactly what to do. It was during that moment, while I'm calling her and asking why I'm supposed to come, that she tells me, by the way, regarding the meeting for tomorrow evening, SCCOP said you must draw up the agenda. I'm like, agenda for what? What meeting? No, SCCOP has convened the meeting and he says he wants you to be there. Then I get really upset. Like, why would you invite you? Inviting me, you're not telling even me why I'm coming. You're not telling me in clear terms what I'm coming there to do. You're telling me in coded language to say, no, when you come here, we're going to sit together and we're going to explain everything to you. But then all of a sudden you're telling me of a meeting. What meeting? My worry was, I am supposed to be coming for some mission that even I am not supposed to know. But at the same time, you're inviting me to come sit in a meeting with other people. Now, when the people sitting around the table, they see me, one, I am not based in Nigeria. I don't know what I'm doing there. And they ask me, what are you here for? What am I supposed to tell them? I'll be forced to lie. But why should I be lying when you can just avoid this whole thing of a meeting? Whatever your meeting is, why don't you hold the meeting and just let me go to wherever you want me to go? No, you need. But then it's only later on that as I look back with the abduction that I got to understand. My coming and my arrival was planned to coincide perfectly with the holding of the meeting. I was supposed to be arriving at about 2 p.m., 3 p.m. Meeting was supposed to start at 5 p.m. So everything was well planned for me to be there. So back to your question, what was this meeting about? I don't know. And I've spoken to my comrades in jail. Not one single person has been able to tell me exactly what this meeting was about. I think, to be honest, this is a question that Nalova and SCCOP should answer. They hold the key to this question.
So your comrades are in jail and you are out here and you have been accused of being the person who plotted for their abductions. Mm-hmm. Are you sure you have no hand or responsibility towards that?
The question you should be asking is, has any of them accused me of having a hand in their abduction? No. Why is it that I entertain such a beautiful relationship with them? But then again, like I said, go back to the individuals who were pushing this narrative. It's Alex Mbianda, Harriet Mbianda, John Ba Akuro, Christopher Anu, what was it, the other comedian, Mark Barretta. When you look at the people who were pushing this narrative, you ask yourself, what was the precedent? What is it that had happened before that pushed them to be making these noises? For me, it's the most absurd, and I usually don't even pay attention to that because I know these are very acerbic individuals with nothing to contribute.
Looking at the present state of the revolution, do you feel that you are staying aside for a while and you are coming back has influenced the way things have gone so far in the revolution?
Well, yes and no. Like I told you earlier on when we started, I took a deliberate decision to step back, to stay out of the limelight, to stay away from everything. When we started putting the building blocks of this present phase of the struggle, for me it was very clear what we needed to achieve and how we were going to achieve it. Once the place started getting flooded with a bunch of comedians and people with an agenda to benefit of the revolution, it became important to withdraw. Partly, and lots of them is just not even just benefiting, it's power hungry, those who thought this is a career move, this is all about building my personal career. Let them have it. So in lots of ways, it's given them the opportunity to run things, to understand how things work, and to have their own experience of leadership. Like I said, many of them thought that we were making lots of money out of this. What they didn't realize was that we were taking out money out of our pocket for a whole lot of things, from flights to hotels to feeding to entertaining to a whole lot of things, contributing. When SCCOP and myself, we did the travel around the world through different countries, there were individuals who were coming and giving us money. Somebody comes and gives you an envelope of 1,000 or for 500 and so on. We put all of that money together and we came and gave it to the struggle because we didn't need it. You have people who came in who claim to have been in the struggle for 30 years. They do character assassination and everything. They cannot even afford a decent pair of shoes. Do you see the way they dress today? Does that look like somebody who is the kind of way they dress and everything is money that came out of their pockets? So in lots of ways, I think it's a good thing. Withdrawal was good to expose and enlighten a lot of people who did not see. On the other, it's unfortunate because by so doing, even I knew that a lot of things were going to go wrong. And that stepping back meant that I knew things were going to go wrong and I took the decision to step back. If you jump into a pigsty with a bunch of pigs, you end up coming out of it looking exactly the same like them. So I had a choice of either staying in that pigsty or stepping back and let the pigs stay there and do what they're doing. Today, we've lost a lot. In fact, we've regressed so badly. We've lost so many people. We've lost a lot of ground. We have lost a lot of credibility internationally. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night worried about where we are. But maybe that's just the tough love that we need to be able, when the time comes, to reinvent. And as we do, we have learnt our lessons moving forward. So yes, stepping back also meant that a lot of things were going to go wrong because I saw a lot of the individuals coming to the fore. I could tell that they didn't have the experience. Somebody asked me the question about Samuel Ikome Sako a few days ago. And I think it was the same accusation. Oh, you're the one who put him there. And I was laughing like, listen, I interacted with this guy once in the days of the governing council to say he could be part of the communications team or something like that. And I was brought into the meeting. I sat in that meeting for 20 minutes and I walked away. I just switched off and walked. And later on, the team came to me to say, why? We brought this man so that you could listen. I'm like, I listened to him. I just don't think that he cuts it. But when you do that, you come across as either being arrogant or intolerant. That's what it is. You either tolerate and bring everybody, even though you can tell that this is going to go wrong, or you switch off, and in the process, you get accused of being arrogant. Those are the choices I had, and I took whatever choices I thought were the best. Experience has shown that the people with the titles in our struggle are the least educated.
So now that you're back, have you come in fully or you are taking baby steps?
Well, I cannot really talk about coming back as such or baby steps. In fact, having this interview was never part of my plan. I've been refusing to do this for the past years. I've been refusing to come back. Like I said, I'd given myself 5 years of just focusing on my own things. When you take 1 year off from everything, I left my company that was running here in Midran. I abandoned everything and buried myself into the struggle. Sometimes you want to go back and put your life back on track, put things. So I focused a lot more on that, not so much because it is compulsory, but because that's what I want to do. Give a chance to those who really want to lead, to lead. And if they take us to Boya, we should give them our whole support. So it's nothing to do with baby steps. I think it's just an interview that is taking place now. I might be doing one or two other. You've seen even in terms of media interviews with a whole host of media houses, whenever those opportunities come, I send it to others because I just felt like I wanted to be completely unseen, completely unheard, just let things go the way they are going until the time when I feel like I want to step in. But yes, back to your question, when I step in, I'm stepping in.
So as the chairman of the Southern Cameroons Alliance, you did talk about the type of people you like to work with and those you wouldn't like to work with. Can you just give me a brief profile of people you would like to work with and the profile of those you wouldn't like to work with?
A lot of the problems that we have in the struggle today is born out of greed, but also out of people who do not realize that they don't know. So everybody knows. Everybody is a leader. Not everybody is. So you want to bring people together who have got the characteristics that will move things forward. And it doesn't mean to be educated people. No. Experience has shown that the people with the titles in our struggle are the least educated. It doesn't need to be the people with the most experience because some of the most experienced people don't have the right experience. And that's why from a SCCOP perspective, but also from an alliance perspective, we lay a lot of emphasis on key characteristics. You don't need to be super smart, but you've got to have your heart in the right place. You've got to be committed. So with the alliance, there are 3 things. It's 1, it's competence. The second is integrity. The third is commitment. I know my weaknesses. I know my strengths. And I think perhaps my greatest strength is the fact that I know how to identify people who have got the right strengths, the right skill set that I don't have, and I pull them towards me. I'm not insecure around people who are smarter than myself. In fact, I feel more secure when I surround myself with people who are smarter. And that's why competence counts. But competence also means only take a role and agree to do it if you're good at it. You've got the competence, you've got the expertise, you've got the experience. That's the first. The second one is integrity. It doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter how smart you are. If you're not a person of integrity, sooner or later, you are going to betray even your own smartness. And we've seen it, some really smart people in our struggle who are extremely dishonest, who tell lies for the sake of telling lies. People who are very eloquent, but they use their eloquence for everything that is negative. Oh, you can't work with such a person. And the third is that it doesn't matter how competent you are, and it doesn't matter how much integrity you are, you've got to be committed. You have people who are super smart, you have people who are educated, you have people who have got expertise, they've worked in some of the best companies and organizations. They would add a lot of value to our struggle. But they are not committed. So somebody comes in, takes a position, oh, I want to play this role. You give them the role, they put it in their pocket, they're strolling around town. And all they want is to be seen, to hold a position. But they're not putting in the work. Today, I work with some of the best individuals I've ever worked with. Why? Because if it means that we're going to burn the midnight candle, it doesn't matter the position you hold. Everybody's on the working. Online, we connect from all over the world. We're working on a document. Everybody's putting in the time. Now, that's commitment. But somebody says, oh, you know, I'm a professor or something, and consistently never performs. It's always coming up with one excuse. Oh, I'm too busy. Oh, so why are you in this thing? Just contribute your money. Just be pumping money into the struggle. If you're so busy making money somewhere, just be putting money. Then we look for people. And that's why I say, if you want any form of liberation struggle to succeed, you have to identify individuals with the right skill set, and you put them on a stipend, let them do the work. If it is, and I hear people say, no, we can't give people any money because, oh, people cannot benefit from the struggle. We just need to be volunteering. Everybody who volunteers, when I give you a position that is key, I want you to perform that position. You live, breathe, sleep, wake, everything you do, that role. And for you to do that, it means you have to be compensated to do that. Otherwise, in the morning you'll wake up and say, oh, you know what, I need to go and sweep the streets because if I don't, my children will not go to school. The only way I can prevent you from going to do that is give you something so you can stay and do what I want to do. So yes, the people I want to work with, they've got to meet those characteristics. But the fourth, which is very much foundational and a major pillar within SCOPE, is discipline. There is no revolution in the world that has ever taken place successfully without discipline. One of the biggest killers of this particular liberation struggle is the lack of discipline. People go onto social media and say whatever they want. People do whatever they want. We sit as a leadership, as a group, and we say, okay, this is the right path we're going. And they wake up one morning and decide that, you know what, I'm going this path. Lack of discipline. I'll give you an example. When we went to the fourth conclave, and we had gone through everything about the fourth conclave, everything that needed to be said, we took it down to the wire on who was embezzling money and who did all the wrong things. When it came to the point where this thing had to be discussed, and Siseko Ayuktabe as the chair decided that it will not be discussed, I was very upset. I was very, very angry. And I remember walking out of that room. But I was disciplined. I accepted that decision. In as much as I was not happy, in as much as I disagreed, I accepted the decision because I was disciplined. When Sako Ikome called and said, oh, you know, comrade, because of this Naira arrest, we're trying to conduct an investigation to get to the bottom of this. You bring yourself down to people where, under normal circumstances, you can never sit in the same room with them. You say, yes, I submit. I'm going to contribute. Whatever questions you want to ask. Why? I could say, you know, who are you to come and talk to me? Get out of my face. But I submitted. That's discipline. But it's when I submit and you have somebody like that decides that he's going to take advantage of that to twist it and assassinate my character, and then goes out and tells lies, then you lose me. The problem is that once you lose me, you never gain me anymore. It's over. Once I lose that respect, it's gone.
Mr. Millan, thank you so much for this interview. And before we go away, I would like you to tell the viewers, as someone who has been in the revolution, one word for the Ambazonian people.
Courage, brothers, do not stumble. We shall overcome. We're going through a very, very difficult time at the moment. A lot of people have lost faith. It was to be expected. I think it's not an easy time to be a Southern Cameroonian at the moment. It's not an easy time when people have given so much, made so much sacrifices, and then we find ourselves in the kind of place we find ourselves in. But that is to be expected. I think gone through a lot. We've lost a lot of our boys, our parents, our mothers have gone through a lot of suffering, and sometimes it really breaks the heart. But like I've always said, the most crucial part of this war was won in 2017. It was changing the mindset of our people. And once you have won the minds, everything else is secondary. So I continue to maintain confidence that we will triumph and that we're going to win.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I thank you.
Fellow Southern Cameroonians, that was Mr. Millan Atam for this interview, and I hope you all followed him. And for any questions or comments that you have in mind, please just leave it below this video and we'll get back to them next time that we have the privilege to speak to him. Thank you very much for watching.